So if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know this isn't news, essentially. This is old hat. I've been saying this for the past 2 years. It's just that now people in power are starting to say it. Of course, this is Jeremy Hunt signals Singapore as the model for a post-Brexit Britain. Hunt has been accused of wanting to turn Britain into a bargain basement for businesses after he said that the UK should follow the example of low-tax Singapore after Brexit. Bear in mind, Ireland actually has the lowest corporation tax in Europe. So are we going to go lower than them? You know, just because they... And I want to make this a point out. Just because they have the lowest corporation tax hasn't made them... what a lot of people have been saying, well, we need to do this for years, we need to lower corporation tax, it'll make us great. It hasn't done anything at all. In fact, when you talk to Eurosceptics, a lot of them talk about how Ireland's apparently going to go down the pan and collapse, and you're like, so why should we lower corporation tax again? But here we have Jeremy Hunt saying it. In what has been seen as an obvious bid to burnish his leadership credentials with Tory hard Brexiteers, Hunt hailed the Southeast Asian city-state for plugging into the international economic grid on gaining its independence in 1965. He also dismissed alternatives to Theresa May's EU withdrawal agreement, denouncing the opinion of a second referendum as a dereliction of duty and warning that a no-deal Brexit could leave us poorer. Singapore has long been touted as a model for the UK after the EU withdrawal by fervent Brexiteers such as former Minister Owen Paterson, who last year wrote that Britain should adopt its low-tax, low-spend, low-regulation policies. So, almost little to no benefits, no NHS, absolutely no workers' rights, of any kind, you can forget it, and a demolition of minimum wage as well. So, yeah, this is what apparently you voted for, Brexiteers. Writing in the Mail on Sunday, Hunt said that Singapore had transformed itself from a tiny territory devoid of natural resources into the world's 8th richest country. Just because it's the 8th richest country doesn't necessarily make it the best country, by the way. He said that while the circumstances of Britain's departure from the EU are different, there could be a few instructions for us after we make our post-Brexit future. The Foreign Secretary, who backed Remain in 2016, has emerged as a potential successor to May after dramatically shifting his position back to Brexit. While acknowledging that the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement was not perfect, he urged fellow MPs to back it in next month's crucial vote. All other options were fraught with danger and would create more problems than they solve, he warned. A second referendum would divide the country again, right at the moment when people need to come together, said Hunt. And yet, none of the Tories, again, I want to make this thing, when people like him say this, they don't reach across the aisle. Remember, this referendum was pretty much 50-50 split. Where has the Brexiteer outreach been to try and reach out to the Remainers to try and get them on board with Brexit? There has been none. I want to clarify that. There has been no outreach whatsoever. It is, you're on board with us, take it or leave it. And remember, there are lots of people out there who voted for Brexit who were told by people campaigning for Brexit that we could be like Norway and stay in the single market and customs union and we'd be fine. And lots of people voted for that. But, you know, there you go. And warning against the no-deal option favoured by some Leave-backing MPs, he said, "No one should be encouraging a move that could leave us poorer at the same time as gladdening the hearts of those who wish for a fractured Europe." Congratulations, that's already happened with Brexit. So does he not want Brexit then? I'm confused. Hunt's comments sparked a backlash from supporters of a second referendum who warned that Singapore's model would mean turning the UK into a bargain basement for business, which is exactly what we've talked about hundreds of times before on this channel when this has been discussed. The Best for Britain spokesman Paul Butters said the Foreign Secretary wants to turn this country into a low-tax haven for business. Nothing would help the elite more, while stealing from the public purse vital funds for key services and damaging workers' rights. Jeremy Hunt is frustrating the will of the people when he says things like this. No one voted for big businesses to rule over us. Yet exactly, remember, a lot of Brexiteers are very anti-globalist. They accuse the EU of being in bed with big businesses. And yet here you have Jeremy Hunt saying this, as well as many other prominent Brexiteers like Jacob Rees-Mogg, Nigel Farage, saying this, and they don't bat an eyelid. But apparently, no, it's the EU that's in bed with big businesses. So, yeah, what's better to say is Jeremy Hunt, what a... And I'm glad you all completed that in your head.